Welcome back to Garth's Graveyard Garage. In this video, we're going to finish tackling this 1971 Ford LTD, get you ready for that young man's first car, and we're going to see if we can actually drive it in this episode. Here we go. What's going on, everybody? In this episode, we're going to tackle the fuel lines on this thing, the fuel tank, possibly the fuel sending unit. We'll see if it works. We need to tackle the brakes. We're going to change out the carburetor. And, oh, it does have an exhaust leak, so we're going to do the exhaust manifold gaskets. So what we're going to start with first is the fuel lines. It's right up under here. The steel line that comes from the front goes to this rubber line that goes over to the front of the tank. It looks like we can probably check everything without dropping this tank. So first thing we're going to do is try and blow some air that way and see if the fuel line is open. If not, then we're going to remove the unit out of the tank, which is right up under there, and we'll find out if that's where the clog is, because there's definitely a clog on this thing somewhere. We just got to figure out where it is. So that's what we're going to tackle first, and yeah, let's get started on that. All right, first things first is we're going to get this bad hose clamp off here.
What does that mean? What does that have to do?
It holds the hose on there tight so it didn't come off. Hey Riley, you want to get me a set of needle nose pliers out of there?
Which door?
The one on the right? Nope. On the right, the big one? Nope. Down. No. Over. Up. That, no. Down. That one.
This one?
Yes. They'll have an orange handle.
The big ones?
Yes.
These?
Yes. Let me see that. Let's see if we can get this hose off here.
I'm a good helper today.
Yeah. You're always a good helper.
Oh, thank you. You fell off the chair.
All right, we'll get a little piece of hose. Put it on there, and we'll try and blow some air out the front and see if it comes out.
Daddy, it went off.
Put this on here.
That went off for a minute.
All right, come here. Hold this. I'm going to tell you to. You're going to squeeze this like that. Okay? Hold this. Don't squeeze it yet.
I'm not gonna squeeze it.
All right, go ahead.
Don't tell me when to stop.
Squeeze it. All right. That is not the fuel line.
Yeah.
That's, watch out. That's an emissions line. So the fuel line's gonna be on the other side. All right, let's get this clamp off here. Alright, we got air going out the front, so looks like we need to pop this out. We got the fuel gauge sending unit out, and I don't know if y'all can see that. It's looks like it was at the bottom of the ocean with the Titanic. It's pretty bad, and I'm not even going to try and salvage this. I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can't order one. And yeah, it's pretty nasty. So yeah, let me go see if I can go find one real quick, and I'm gonna see what else is in the bottom of this tank. Since it's gonna take a few days for that fuel level sending unit to get here, the only place I could actually find one, believe it or not, was Amazon. No auto parts store had it, so ordered that. It's gonna be a few days, but in the meantime, let's get this carburetor off here and put the new one on here so we can see how much better it's gonna run. That gasket's a little thick. We'll see if it'll sink it down or not. See if we got enough threads to grab it. Oh yeah. Choke is on. I'll go ahead and do a test fire real quick and see what it does. Well, the new carburetor definitely fixed the issue because this motor doesn't have a shake, nothing anymore. And check this out. I mean, look how smooth that is. We do have the exhaust leak over here we need to fix. We'll tackle that next. I got to figure out how to extend that kick down to where it works. Not that this young man's gonna need it. And I think we might have a coolant leak somewhere in this metal pipe. So I can see it running down right there. So we might do away with the metal pipe and just run a rubber hose all the way up. The heater core was shot. I didn't want to bore you guys with that. I love how they put it in the engine compartment and not up under the dash. So it took me all of 20 minutes to get that one out and put a new heater core in there. The only other thing I've done, I put a new master cylinder on here. The other one did start working. It started building up pressure, but I noticed after a few pumps, the whole front of the booster was wet, so the seals were shot. So I did a quick bench bleed, threw it on here. I haven't bled the system yet, but new master cylinder was put on. So master cylinder and heater core is the only things I've done that I didn't do on camera. Everything else you're watching me do. Had somebody say that I didn't clean the valve covers before I put them back on. We did, we just didn't show it on camera. And somebody else said something about us pumping 25-year-old gas into the car. No, it's actually running off a gas can, vice grip garage style. So yeah, that one's for you, Derek. But guess next, gonna get the car up on 4 jack stands, get all the wheels off of here. New tires are supposed to be delivered tomorrow. Get those put on here, do the brakes, and then we can do our first test drive in this thing, see if the transmission actually works. So that'll be the next step. It'll probably be tomorrow before you see that, but for you, a few seconds. Here's where we are. It's the next day. The new tires came in. Got a brand new set for the kid, so we'll get those put on. But first, decided to finally pull the hubs off the rear, and noticed we had some damage. The other side's got a broken spring. The cable that's supposed to go around, it broke and fell off somewhere. The hubs themselves are actually in pretty decent shape, but I had to order all new parts. So we got all new clips, springs, shoes, all of this. And I didn't film taking the hubs off because, trust me, it wasn't family friendly. They were very stuck. So it took me a little while to get them off, but we got both sides off. Yeah, you can see here, broken cable. One of the springs, yeah, this spring is just broken. So we're gonna do that. Waiting on the new fuel sending unit assembly, whatever. It'll be here, I believe, tomorrow. So to get that going. Fuel lines are all cleared out. They're good. The inside of the tank, surprisingly, isn't real bad. We're just gonna try it. I'm not gonna mess with dropping the tank yet if we don't need to. It looked good enough to run. We'll run double filters. I know some of you are gonna be like, "Oh my God, you're running a dirty tank." Well, I don't want to mess with it. And if it works, fine. A lot of people giving me crap for not cleaning the cars before I work on them. Here's the reason. There's a lot of times I get these cars and they're not fixable, not salvageable, or I just don't want to mess with them anymore. I'm not going to waste my time detailing it for me to just throw it in the back pasture or have it hauled off, sell it for parts, whatever. So that's why I don't detail anything until the very end, once I know it's completely reliable and it's going to run and it's going to drive and all that fun stuff. So please ease up on me about detailing the cars. I've never done it first. That's always my last step. It's like polishing up the cherry once we're done with it. So, but that's what we're going to get started on now. Spring break is over. So little one's back in school. It's just me today working on this. My oldest is at work, unfortunately. This summer, when the little one's out of school, we'll get more time and be able to do a lot more. Also got more parts in for the tow truck. So I'm starting to round up the parts to work on that for our next project. But in the meantime, I want to get this one done on the road before he gets his license. Before he gets it, I'm going to test drive it for a little while, make sure everything's kosher, make sure it's safe. And yeah. Oh, and for the people asking why I don't have him working on it with me, he works a full-time job. He also lives about 45 minutes to an hour from here, so he can't just hop over here or get his mom to run him over here to work on stuff. So it's just me. And the other side of that is he's seen it as it sits. It's going to be more exciting when he sees it all done and polished. I like the reaction. So anyways, let's get started on trying to get these brakes done. One thing I take no shame in, because I always get confused putting drum brakes back together. And if you get to a spot where you forget where things go, snap a picture before you start. That way you have a reference. Or several photos, because you need angles. There. That way you don't have to go digging around on the Google and trying to find the exact layout of everything you took off. You could just check on your phone. More broken springs. Don't let your cars sit. Yeah, I did get new wheel cylinders too. The other thing I'm doing is laying out the parts on the floor in the pattern they came off. That way it makes it a little easier. I bet we could save it. No. I know some of you guys have OCD, so I'm cleaning it. Yeah, definitely clean those up. I had to cut the camera because this got ugly. Ugh. I had to use all of these to get that back on because it fought me so bad. And one spring took off. It's probably going to pass that Tesla flying through space that Elon threw out there. It's gone. Luckily I had a backup. But anyways, I'm going to put this back together, knock out the other side, and then get our brand new tires put on here. It's the next day. Brakes are done. New tires are on. So now it's time to move on to the rear shocks. And so I figured for something like this, being also that it has, you know, a hitch package, we're gonna put some air shocks on the back of this. Useful and fun. So that's what we're gonna tackle next. We're gonna get these air shocks put on the back and then get the rear end lowered down, get the front end up, and tackle the front brakes and front shocks. So that's what we're gonna do now. Vice grips. At least the other side will be a little easier. I say that, but yeah, that one at least I can get to. This one has exhaust and this sway bar and other stuff all in the way. Okay, well, instead of recording me trying to figure this out for the next 4 or 5 hours, I'll cut back whenever I've figured out how to get it out. Well, the driver's side came right off, like nothing. I did it by hand. I didn't even have to wrench it. The passenger side, not so much. I had to put a wrench on there, wrench on the top. Took me about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I guess, and then it finally broke, which it could have done me the favor and done that in the beginning, but it waited till I was almost at the end, and then it finally broke off. So, all right, now I'm gonna lay out the contents of the air shock, see what all we gotta do, and figure out placement of the tubes and where we're gonna place the fill nozzle on the back, somewhere back there in the bumper. So let me get that opened up and see where we're at. Should be fairly simple. Get these put in with the bushings and the mounts, run our air lines, and thinking about possibly using this hole right here since it's already there, because I don't really want to drill into this bumper. So I'm gonna crawl under there now and get these bolted up. All right, the shocks are in. So now we're gonna run the hoses. Oh, look at all the pieces. All right, let me get my cutters so we can get the lines cut and installed. All right. Remember when I started driving in the 90s, I don't think it mattered what I was driving. If I needed rear shocks, I always stuck air shocks on it, just because they were fun. And you know, back then everybody wanted that raked hot rod look, at least the area I grew up in. Let's see. Yeah, we got the harness that goes to the fuel level, the sender. We can put the T and zip tie the T to it up here, that way it's out of the way, and then we can just run the single line out to the bumper to air it up. So we'll do that. Perfect. Run the other side, and then run the line out the back, and then we'll get to see what this thing's gonna look like. Give it a little rake. The shocks that were on here were completely shot. I mean, they were, this car would have just been floating. I'm gonna loop this thing in behind this bracket for the gas tank because the exhaust is right there. I don't think it'll get hot enough to melt it, but you never know. All right, now we just need the line that goes from the T to the back. Hook that up. Should be good. Gotta figure out where to run this. I'm just gonna start running it and we'll figure out where it goes. So I can run it maybe through the frame. So I want it to come out over there on the passenger side. Alright, get a zip tie or two, that way I can zip tie that up. Managed to get it where I wanted it. Yeah, I'll just leave the slack on there. Never know. And I messed up. I think it was a Monday. There we go. Let's see if she works. Oh yeah. I'm gonna stop right there because I don't remember offhand what the PSI is on these shocks. And I probably threw the instructions away, so we'll go with this. All right, rear of the car is done. Next agenda is get the front end up, get these wheels off, and do the brakes on the front, make sure everything's kosher there, and then replace the rubber fuel line from the metal line up to the filter because it's shot, it breaks. So we're doing that next. So all right, I'm gonna get this car jacked up and then get these wheels off. All right, got the wheel off on this side, and it's not too bad. I think these rotors will actually clean up. The pads weren't too bad before it sat. There's probably 10%, 15% left on them. And then the shocks, top mount and bottom, these will be a lot easier to change out than the back ones. So we'll do that, and we'll get the caliper off here to change the pads, make sure the bearings are good, get the shocks changed, and get the new pads on, and clean up these rotors. So that's what we're gonna tackle now. Okay, got the caliper off. Everything looks pretty good. There's no play. I heard some noise. I thought it was the bearing, but there's some leaves stuck down in there, so I'm not going to worry about that. But use the brush on the drill to clean off the rotors, and yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put the new pads on and put this all back together, and then get the shock changed out. Well, this brake caliper is completely seized. I mean, I put the thing in the vise and I can't get that thing to compress. So I got it off and ordered 2 new ones. I'm not even gonna guess on the other side. I'm just gonna guess it's probably as bad. So ordered 2 new ones, get them in the morning. I'll have to go pick those up. But in the meantime, I can go ahead and get the shocks done. So I guess I'm gonna move on to that. I went ahead and replaced the fuel line that comes from down there and goes down to the fuel pump. And I put some gas in the car. So we're gonna see if it actually pumps it up to the front. Running on our own fuel tank now for the first time since '96. So got the shock on. I haven't done the passenger driver's side yet. Gonna knock that out, and then when I tune back in, it'll be when we're putting the front brakes on, and then checking tranny fluid and possibly doing a test drive. So we'll see in a few. It's the next day, got the new calipers in, and of course aftermarket parts don't fit right, so it took a little motivation to get the new caliper on, but it's on. All new parts, new clips, should be good to go. And gonna tackle the other side. Both the shocks are on, so we'll get the other brake caliper on, and then we'll get it bled, and then we'll get all the wheels back on, and then we're gonna find out if this thing's gonna move under its own power for the first time. So I didn't show disassembling this side. For those that haven't done old Ford brakes, I'll go ahead and show you now what all is involved on the other side, because it's not like today's cars where you just pop off the caliper, change the pads, put new pads on, pop the caliper back on. There's extra clips, extra bolts, and all kinds of funky stuff on these old cars, so I'll show you now what's involved. Alright, first things first, we'll get new clips anyway, so get these old clips off of here. These pins hold the pads to the caliper. And then we'll take off the back side. Use some motivation. This is when you want to check your bearings. Spin it, wiggle it, see if you got any play. And that one actually feels all right. Here's some stuff down there in the shield. All right. Get this caliper off here. Yeah, there is a core on these, so we're gonna put it in the box to send back. A lot of times they'll give you parts in your kit that don't match. So there's just enough difference between the old clip and the new clip where the new one won't work. So go back to the old one. And these are okay. There's still enough spring in them. If they were rusted out, that would be a different story. Now, the problem I've been running into with these brake pads is you have these pins right here, and those go through there to the caliper, and then there's little clips, and it holds these brake pads onto the caliper. Problem is these holes are not in the right spot. So for this part, I've got to pop it on the my vise and basically hammer the pins in to the caliper before I put the caliper on. So I'm gonna take a pause and do that real quick. All right, time to put the caliper back on. I had to use one of the old clips because the little tab snapped on one of the new ones because cheap metal. I'm gonna get the brake line back on, and then we'll start the bleed process. Well, like I should have expected, the front brake hoses going to the calipers, the rear bled out great, and then when I got to the front, I noticed they were shot. Those parts won't be here for like another 2 hours, so in the meantime, teaching the little one something old school. So I've got her over here, teaching her how to clean white walls and get the blue off. She's doing pretty good.
More of that.
Well, no, keep wiping first, and then we'll do another coat.
Because it's...
If anyone ever needs to figure out an easy way to get that stuff off, takes a little elbow grease, but Goo Gone works pretty good. All right, well, while she's knocking that out, we're gonna sit here and wait for the hoses to arrive, and then we'll get those changed out and get the rest of the car bled out. It is the next day. The brake lines I got from O'Reilly's don't fit this car. I checked around all from AutoZone to Rock Auto to everybody. Nobody has the brake lines that go to this car, because apparently it wasn't real common for this car to have power brakes. All the brake lines for this car that are out there are for drum brakes. So I had to order some special made brake lines for this by a company that actually manufactures them themselves to fit this car. So I'm not gonna be able to get the brakes done the way I want to for probably several days until those new brake lines get here. So in the meantime, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna see if I can possibly bleed the driver's side. Passenger side is no. I'm gonna see if I can get the driver's side bled, at least enough to give it a little break, and then we'll get the wheels back on it. We'll drop the car down. Need to fix the exhaust manifold gasket on the passenger side because it's leaking really bad. See if we can do that without breaking any bolts. And then we get that done, and there's a little bit of braking. We'll get this thing outside, see if it moves under its own power, get it outside, out of my garage, and then we'll start cleaning this thing up. Because I know a lot of you want to see it cleaned up. We're gonna see how clean we can get it. So we'll start on the outside. The inside is gonna be easy. That's gonna be pretty much just a wipe down, a vacuum, and maybe some, Armor All or dressing or whatever. But the outside is gonna be the real test. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna go ahead and, I don't have anybody here because the little one isn't strong enough to do the brake pedal or coordinated enough to do it the right way. So I'm gonna do it the old fashioned way with a Coke bottle and see if we can get the other side bled. And then we'll move on to getting this exhaust manifold. So let's get started on that. Okay, for those of y'all that haven't done this before, if you want to do a cheap and easy self-bleeding kit, run your line up to the bleeder valve into a bottle with brake fluid in the bottom of it. And then when you start pumping the brake pedal, on this side's easy because you can watch it. But I'm gonna pump the brake pedal until I see no air come out of that line. That's if it's gonna work. The other side, the rubber hose is completely collapsed. So this side, I'm not sure yet. And, oh, also make sure your reservoir is full of brake fluid. So let's try that now. We got no fluid or air or anything coming out of this, so I'm gonna go check the brake lines and make sure that's all good. This rubber line looks like it's still decent, so let me check the block that the two lines go into and make sure there's not somewhere else in here that could be blocked. So let me see if I can find out what's going on, and then I'll be back. Well, the blocks are fine because fluid was getting to the top of the rubber brake line, but it's not passing through the rubber brake line. I'm gonna see if I can't get it cleared out for in the meantime, And if not, I mean, they need to be replaced. But if we can get it to where it's at least working for right now till the new ones get here, then we can at least do some more stuff with this car. So let me see if I can get this cleared out. No such luck cleaning those lines out. They are shot. And then one of them, when I started poking a wire down into it, it came right out the side of the hose. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put the wheels back on, pray the back brakes work, and see if we can't move this thing under its own power out of the garage and see if we can get it cleaned up. But first thing I'm gonna do before I try and move it out is see if we can get that exhaust manifold out. So I'll go ahead and get the wheels back on real quick, and then we'll jump under the hood. Got all the bolts over here soaking with a PB blaster, so hopefully it makes the job a little easier. But I'm not gonna hold my breath, especially with everything this car keeps doing to me. All right, let's see if we can get that off there. Get this heat riser shield off first. Oh, of course. Oh, that one popped loose. We're done talking. Oh, I lost my ratchet. Oh, it's right in front of me. All right. If I can line those up and get a deep socket on there. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, come on. Alright, I'm gonna pop loose. What I'm trying to do is just get them loose enough to slide the gasket down in there. There's a gasket in there. No, no gasket. Looks like it's just straight to the block. Yeah, that's why it's leaking. All right. Well, let me see how many bolts, if any, I gotta remove to get the gasket on here. Well, one thing I just noticed. If you can see that, looks like this manifold is actually cracked. Oh, because we're gonna have to take it all the way off and maybe we can weld it. So I guess we're gonna give that a shot. So yeah, let me go ahead and see if I can get this manifold all the way off. And then, of course, do more work. So I'll tune back in when I have this thing off. Yep, we definitely got a crack. Almost all the way around. Starts right here and it comes all the way to about here. So we're gonna see if this we'll take a weld. I'm gonna brush this up and clean it up, and we'll put the welder on it and see how it does. It's good enough. And if it still leaks, well, we'll just pop it off and replace it, but I think we're gonna be all right. The ugly part's on the backside. No one's ever gonna see it, so. Got it all buttoned back up, and guess now we'll try a cold start on it. See if that exhaust leak is fixed. There's a little bitty tick tick tick, very slight. That's PB blaster burning off. Yeah, I think it's good enough. Power steering is whining. I guess next we'll see if we've got enough brakes, see if this thing will move under its own power. I topped off the transmission fluid. It was definitely low. Well, especially after it shot all over me and out the front of the car the other day. But it was probably, I don't know, 4 quarts low, but topped it off. And yeah, let me get the old IROC out of the way, and then see if this thing has brakes, and we'll see if we can get it outside to finally get all these leaves off of it and clean it up a little bit. So, be back in a second. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. Will this thing... Hopefully the back brakes work good enough to stop this thing if it takes off. But... all right. See what happens. It's moving. Okay, it stops, but I have to put my foot way down. Well, we definitely got reverse. right into drive like nothing. Oh, that's a big car. She's outside on her own power. How about that? Yeah, that sounds good. Something quiet. You like it? Well, we gotta finish cleaning all the
I want a vacuum.
leaves. We're not doing the inside yet. We're gonna make the outside look pretty.
Oh.
We gotta get the rest of that blue off the tires.
I want
And
that blue.
pressure wash it, degrease it, get the rest of that nasty vinyl top off of it, and then give it a scrub, see how it comes out. So that's what we're gonna do next. But so far so good. Be a lot better if we had the other brake lines, because then we could do a real test drive. But in the meantime, we can at least do this part. I know how much this part was driving a lot of you up the walls, so here we go. You happy now? Okay, gonna get the rest of that vinyl top that's loose off the roof, throw it in the trash can, and then get the soap soaking on this thing and get it degreased and cleaned up. Sorry about that. Got interrupted by somebody wanting to look at the Zombug. she's getting there. I'm not gonna bore y'all with the rest of it because it'll just be the same thing on the other side. But gonna put some more gas in the pressure washer and finish this up. Well, there she is, all pretty and clean. And unfortunately, that's all we can do in this episode until the brake lines get here. So in the next episode, it'll be like the 2.5 episode. We'll get the new brake lines put on, get the brakes done, do a test drive, probably start polishing this thing up. I'm gonna pull out the buffer, go to town on that. And at some point we're gonna put the new vinyl top on there, which will be fun because I've never done one before, so it'll be a learning experience for me and probably a lot of you, because yeah. But anyways, guess we're gonna wrap it up. But I do want to thank everybody that's been tagging us in their merch that they got from the merch store. It's pretty awesome seeing all you guys and gals, a lot of gals wearing our merch. Love seeing it. Love that y'all are checking out the store and checking out the website. But yeah, we really do appreciate everything. All the comments are spectacular. The love that you send us on Instagram, on Facebook, through email, just all of it. We do appreciate it. But yeah, I guess that's going to wrap up this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.